Jacq Becker. How you doing today?
I am good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm good. Yeah, just running around, busy as I'm sure you are. I know you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, today's the day. My album is out.
Yes, awesome. So you're actually a lot of people would know you as a viral kids music creator, writer, producer. You've had already one, I guess. Well, was it one album first, and then now this is the second album? Is that correct?
Yes, yes. I had a project come out, I believe in 2021, which was under Mama B and Uncle T. And then this is my first solo project under just Mama B. And the album's called Imagineology.
Yeah, awesome. And it sounds great. I was checking it out
Thank
last
you.
couple of days. It's really fun. I mean, it's a kids album, but the songs are great and the production is great. And I really like the production style that you
I
did.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
a
the Oh,
talk
sorry.
about
I
that.
was
Yeah,
gonna say
that's okay.
it was intentional. It was for me, my background, I didn't start as a children's musician. So my background is pop music and jazz and working with all types of different producers that are in hip hop, mainly pop. So like the art of writing a song and writing like ear candy is like, whatever genre you're in, that should always be your goal. That's my goal at least, is to kind of have that like with kids in mind, have those melodies and lyrics that work for kids, but also feel good for parents sonically, right? Just because it's the children's genre does not mean the producer should be any less than talented than any other kind of producer you bring into the project. The same goes for any musician. So I put together kind of my go-to list of creators that I work with on all different types of projects outside of children's music. But they were super excited. No one's ever that's worked on this project had worked in the children's space before. And we all had like such an amazing time writing with families in mind.
Yeah, the music just makes you smile. It's fun, and we of course we've all grown up hearing kids' music, but it's really progressed quite a bit from when it I even like
Yeah.
Sesame Street and that kind of stuff, which is still stands up to the test of time. You have a really interesting background because obviously we have this part of your career, but then you also have a music executive background, and you've written a lot of music that showed up in TV shows and films and this kind of thing. Tell me about how you got started.
Yeah, so my background is I've always had like a deep vested interest on the music business side of the industry. Obviously, I've always felt like a creator myself too, so I never stopped writing songs or performing. Um, but I always was like really interested in that like executive path and what that would look like and what part of the industry like felt the most organic to me. And for me, I'm a songwriter. So I was most interested in understanding the business of like publishing and songwriters, and how I could help those creators, knowing that I'm one of those creators myself. So I felt like the publishing side of the business was a good place for me to really put my knowledge forward, and really help sort of leverage the my experience as an artist myself. Um, so that's sort of, I feel like I've touched every side of the music business side. I started in marketing. I did film and TV licensing. I worked in international departments at record labels. I worked at music tech startups. I worked as artist relations. So I feel like I have like a pretty good base and knowledge of the music industry holistically. But my passion lies with songwriters and helping them kind of create their visions.
Yeah, that's an amazing background. And of course, as an artist, to have that background I mean, there's obviously connections, which helps. We all need that, but just having the understanding of the business is a huge thing. Um, and so, tell me how did you come to wanting to do children's music to do the first album? How did that come about?
Yeah, it happened pretty organically. I think this is a similar story that a lot of parents feel is like they are parents all of a sudden, they are opened up to this whole world of like children's content. Um, and understanding the landscape is sort of just whether or not you want to be, it's sort of thrown at you. So as I was getting into it, I have two little boys. I was just like testing the water, seeing what's out there. I never really listened to children's music growing up myself. Um, so I wasn't too familiar with like now kind of the superstars of the industry that I love. Like I think Rafi's music is amazing. Lori Berkener is doing amazing. They've been around for a long time and their music still stands the test of time. So my whole goal was like, understanding what was out there as I felt like I could really make a contribution and make contemporary children's music that like both parents and kids could listen to and enjoy together. My thought was like oftentimes, my son is like, hey, play that like, gosh, what is he into right now? PJ Masks soundtrack. Okay. And so I would play it, it lights him up. And then I would drop him off at school. And all of a sudden I'd be like 15 minutes into my drive and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm still listening to this. Right.
Yeah.
So like my whole goal is like to create a full like body of work where parents could be like still jamming out as they drop their kids off at school and being like, I take this too. So that was the hope in creating like just like a sonic moment for families to enjoy
Right.
together.
Well, the thing too, I mean, obviously the parents are the one buying the music, so it helps that they like it, right?
Sure, we're the ones. It's like children's content is evergreen in a sense, in that like it's like that again, 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 like mentality. And it's the parents for the most part until they get a little older that are pressing play over and over again. And it better be something that you want to listen to over and
Yeah.
over
For
again.
the long van ride to
For
Disney.
yeah, for the long haul, right? Like children get one thing in their mind. It's like one track mind. So like I think I wanted to provide something that they'd be okay with, like hitting play over and over again.
Yeah. Well, your first album had over 50 million streams. I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like obviously it came from just like a passion of mine and wanting to engage with my kids. My kids were part of the recording and writing process, and they came to the studio. And
Awesome.
the collaborators on this project also became new dads into the like while we were in the writing process. So it all felt like, the right
Organic, kind of
timing.
organic. Yeah.
Yeah, the timing for all of us to be doing this. And I hope to be doing it again. I'm like so in love with this sort of genre, and wanting like just the response from different families in my community has been so great that I want to keep feeding more good content into this space.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's always needed. I mean, great quality songs and it seems like there's an insatiable appetite in that market, right? For children's music and children's creative stuff and film and all that stuff. Who were actually some of your main influences growing up musically? Who were the people that you really looked to?
Ooh, I so my dad was like a diehard Frank Sinatra fan.
Ah,
So I grew up in the car, kind of on his side, listening to sort of those torch type singers, which I love, which I think comes like my affinity for like jazz music and just beautiful melodies and lyrics. And then on my mom's side, she had more of like an eclectic taste of like kind of soulful rock and roll. So I got to listen to a lot of like Aretha Franklin, the Supremes, but me personally, I am like swayed by beautiful voices like Nora
mm,
Jones, kind of these classic feeling timeless songs that never get old and you can, hit repeat on. Obviously, like great songwriting always catches my attention.
yeah, Nora Jones, that's another one too. The production, like the album that had all the Grammys, the production was so simple and beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, and she could play too. She
Right.
toned it down. So I love
Yeah.
when, people like rein it in, knowing that they can do so much more.
Yeah, awesome. From the music executive kind of standpoint, like when you're dealing with maybe new artists or people are approaching the folks that you're working with, what are you looking for like for new artists and how does that work for you? Are you always looking for new people to sort of feature, or how does that work in your world?
I mean, I think that's a good question. Like for me, it's song, song first. I know we live in a day where like everyone's like, well, what's their social media following? And
Right.
like Well, that's important. Like why artists and creators get into this space is not because they are digital marketing experts. And I feel like a lot of creators are forced into kind of becoming like digital photographers, like editors, like in all
Yeah.
of these spaces. And like for me, I actually really love it when, someone sends me something and like I go onto their social profiles and there's like it's like brand new and like no one's really discovered it yet. Like I love when it's just pure and organic and there's, maybe the machine's not behind it yet. Not
Right.
saying social media is an important part of your art, but I really encourage all creators to really not spread themselves too thin, um, and really focus on what they excel at and what they're great at. Because being pursuing for many years, I pursued my own, art full time for a while. And I remember those feelings of just being like so overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that like filled my day that had nothing to do with creating music
Right. Just
and just
survival.
yeah, like it like had nothing to do. Like I felt like, oh, I have to be the best guitarist. I have to be the best, I have to learn Photoshop. Like the things that like were sucking my time weren't actually like making me a better musician. Um, so, that's what I look for is just kind of that like authenticity.
Yeah, I think authenticity is a thing, right? It doesn't because people focus on perfection, and
Hmm.
Rembrandt wasn't perfect, Michelangelo wasn't perfect. Sometimes the beauty is actually in the imperfection and the honesty,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I love a great song. So,
Yeah, that always wins the day. Speaking
yeah,
of Sinatra, those guys,
yeah.
that stuff still stands up. Also, what's your? I mean, what would be like your main advice? Not only as a children's music creator, but just as a creator in general. What's your advice for young people that are starting out? Like, because it's overwhelming. There's so much noise on streaming platforms, trying to get noticed and all that. What's some of the things that you've really learned?
I think is to not get too caught up in sort of, as we were talking about, the perfection of the art. Especially now, like everything looks so curated or can feel so curated that we see and feels like it has to be so polished to release it. Um, and so, like, what I learned from just like as many creators learn is that after having hard drives of all of these songs that we created but never released, is like, of course, make it the best you can make it, but also release it into the world. And don't, you know, criticize yourself too much in the process.
Yeah.
I'm on this quest now to kind of go through my catalog and release all the songs that I never released as an artist. Like it's important to me, as I'm getting older and now that I have kids, that my kids see the like evolution of me as an artist because I didn't put so many songs. I have full EPs, I have full albums that I never released
Right.
because I was thinking too hard. I was like, it's not good enough. Now the sound has changed. Like, now I
Yeah,
need
you're
to
always
do this.
that's sort of the artist thing, always second guessing yourself, right?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go like into my capsule of songs and start releasing EPs from different moments in my life. And I want that kind of trackable. I don't want to be so curated, I guess
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the
It's
idea.
tricky. Yeah, it's tricky because everybody wants to be seen a certain way, and we get really
Yeah,
involved in the branding part of it, but we kind
totally.
of yeah, we forget about the nuggets. The actual nuggets are the songs and
Yeah.
the authenticity, right?
Yeah, for songwriters, I love looking through their catalogs and seeing sort of where they started as a songwriter and seeing the evolution of the different kind of sounds and the different twists and turns they've taken as a career in their careers.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
like
that's a little different as an artist, but
right, but it's fun to see like the process.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and the growth too.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely it's awesome to see that. So your first single, I think, from this album is it's Unicorn, correct?
It is, yes.
And when does
Uh,
that come out, or has that already been released?
that was our first single that we released about a month and a half ago.
Ah, okay.
And the idea for that one was really like, what would happen? This is when I was experimenting, being like, I'm going to write a children's album, but like the production is going to really be for kids, but also parents. At the time, my son was really into like jamming out to like a Dua Lipa song. It's like, so what would happen if we put like production that was actually intended for an adult session and just started writing with kids in mind.
Hmm.
So there was many iterations of what like the top line was over that song until we made it. I was like, it still sounds too adult. But it was really an experience. I
Yeah,
obviously the
that's a
song's
tricky
about,
that's a
yeah, we
tricky
got
lane, right?
there. Yeah, we got there. The song's about unicorns. Like it's not
Yeah,
an adult song. Um, but yeah, so that one came out first. The second single came out with Pufferfish.
awesome.
And the idea for that one was to really have like a, my kids love the Harry Nilsson song Coconut, Coconut.
Yeah,
Um, and like that song just has such a like, it makes you go like this, like right
yeah.
when you hear it. And
Kind
I
of
wanted
an
to
island vibe, kind of.
island
Yeah,
vibe,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And like it
Gotcha.
was so catchy. I was like, I needed to have something like that. And I already had the like idea for that vamp of like a pufferfish chorus. So that's how that one came to be. And then the whole album came out and it's called Imagineology, really because each song is about, you know, encouraging kids to not, you know, to think outside the box, to go
Mm,
outside, to enjoy each other, to be imaginative. There's songs about princesses and castles, but the princess would rather fight dragons and be a princess. And then there's a song, you know, about a little brother. During the evolution of this album, I had another baby. So I wrote a song about welcoming, from my son's perspective, welcoming his little brother into the house.
awesome.
So yeah, there's a lot of little sweet things that are very personal, and then some things that like have nothing, like just an imaginative, cool idea that I thought would be
Yeah.
fun to sing about.
Yeah, it's an awesome album. Really great job on that. And I think
Thank you.
people it's on all the streaming platforms,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And yeah, it's awesome. I'm so excited. You know, it's fun to have new, fresh stuff to listen to for me. And
Thanks.
especially like you said, it's like it's a children's album, but actually it's more than that. And that was something that really got me excited. How can
Oh,
people
thank you.
find you online and in the social media world and all that?
I appreciate that question. Mama B Songs is my handle for all social media. So you can find me on YouTube, there, Instagram, there, TikTok, the same. Yeah, so I'm just releasing you anywhere you listen to music, you can find Mama B Imaginology.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. And it's nice to learn about you and your background. Yeah, you have a really amazing background, even more than what we talked about. But
Thank you.
I appreciate all your insights, and you're in a really great position to offer artists great information. So,
Thank
um,
you. Thanks for
uh,
taking the time.
oh, you're welcome. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.